Minecraft horror mods. Some mods are fun, beautiful expansions to Minecraft itself, whether that be in an adventure mindset, RPG mindset, classes, weapons, whatever it may be. And some mods are like today's mod, Mutationcraft. A mod that adds in a bunch of parasites that are really just out here to ruin your day and take over your world uncontrollably. Now you're probably very familiar with another mod that's very similar to this one called Scrape and Run Parasites, as this mod is very heavily inspired by that mod to the point where for a good portion of it, this was effectively just a port of that mod to the latest version of Minecraft, though the creators of this are taking the time and effort to remake all of these different assets into their own variations that are inspired from the Scrape and Run Parasites counterpart. This little mob here will probably be the first thing that you encounter from this mod. This guy's called a Miter. Now, he doesn't look like he's going to cause any problems on the surface, he just looks like a worse off silverfish that isn't particularly doing much, but if you ever come across one of these guys, kill it immediately. Don't let it live. Do you want to know what it's going to do? In about 2 minutes, this guy's going to evolve into a Necropropter, which this is going to be the one that will cause you a lot of problems, because this is the guy that will cause damage. This one will go around infecting all the other mobs in your world, whether they be friendly, whether they not be friendly, whether they be goddamn villagers for Christ's sakes. He's going to go around, he's going to try to kill them, and then infect them to turn them into their simulated versions of those mobs. So kill these guys immediately, really. But hey, guess what? If you give it another 3 minutes of sitting around, this Necropropter will go into a good old Reductor. Now what is he? He's a 3-headed monstrosity, and it's effectively just a worse variation of his older brother, younger brother. Either way, basically you don't want these guys around because these are going to be the source of all of your problems. They're going to cause everything to go horribly wrong if you don't get rid of them ASAP. Whenever the Necropropter or the Reductor gets a mob below 4 hearts of health whilst hitting it, they'll turn into their simulated version if they do have one at the time of the mod's creation. Let's go through the mobs that currently do have an assimilated version of themselves. You've got the assimilated pig with 25 health and does 7 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. The assimilated sheep with 30 health and does 7 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. The assimilated cow with 30 health and does 7 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. The assimilated horse with 40 health and does 9 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. The assimilated spider with 35 health and does 8 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.3. The assimilated villager with a health of 35 and does 8 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. The assimilated wandering trader with a health of 40 and 8 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25, which also has some special abilities including making himself invisible, which is rare, and also healing himself and inflicting corrosion when damaging the player. An assimilated pillager which has a health of 45 and a damage of 8 per second and a movement speed of 2.5. The assimilated witch, which has a health of 40, does 9 damage per second and has a movement speed of 0.2. This creature can also buff itself and nearby mutants if they're damaged. And then an assimilated Roma, which has a health pool of 40, does 9 damage per second and a 0.2 movement speed. The assimilated version of the player. That's what this Roma is. It has special abilities, those being that he can get a speed boost every time he hits another entity, and also has a 20% chance of inflicting hunger on the entity that he's attacking. Basically, this is what gets created whenever you die to any of the assimilated mobs or any form of the corrupting mods in general. It will create a Roma. After a little while, it will turn into a developed Roma with 50 health and does 10 damage per second and a move speed of 0.2. This is a better upgraded version of the assimilated Roma, has a bigger speed boost when he hits, and also has a 20% chance of inflicting the Severine effect. If that's not enough, once he gets half of his life, his damage increases. Get him down to half health, he'll start dealing far more damage than before. This mod can be found spawning naturally with the method of evolution, that being assimilated Roma kills a player or villager, or if for 2 minutes pass and the Roma is still alive. You got an assimilated piglin with 50 health and does 8 damage per second with a movement speed of 0.25. An assimilated jockey, which is a spider jockey that gets killed with the assimilated nonsense, gets a health of 45 and damage of 9 per second and a movement speed of 0.25. An assimilated Enderman with 55 health does 12 damage per second and a movement speed of 0.45. The assimilated Enderman also has special abilities, those being that he can teleport itself to its nearby locations, teleport allies as reinforcements to you in a nearby location. He can also heal himself and his nearby allies if he manages to kill the player and eats his heart with an animation and sound. His nearby allies can be healed even if they have almost max health. He's also very fast, so be very careful with him. He also has a special attack which can pass buffs through shield protection and also inflicts slowness. Another one of the assimilated creatures that you can discover is an assimilated human. This doesn't come from the players, this can come from some of the various other humanoid mobs that also come in this mod, which we'll go over in a moment. Though this one can also spawn on its own accord. It has 40 health, does a damage of 8 per second, and has a movement speed of 0.25. It's kind of like a zombie really, in how it acts and how it moves around, just it's more faster because one of the infection shenanigans, you know? Now there are other mobs you can also discover throughout this world, such as the Hazmat Guard. This guy's got 20 health and has 6 damage per second and has a movement speed of 0.25. This creature also equips a sword and a shield and will attack every mutant mob. His sword hits hard and also inflicts weakness, but he is neutral to the player. He will attack you though if you do so first, and his armor is pretty good, so he will put up a pretty decent fight against you if you dare try him. But then you've also got his friend, the Scientist. He has 15 health points, he does no damage, and he also has a movement speed of 0.25. This creature is scared of the player and also other mobs, and that's why you'll see him being transparent almost every single time you'll come across him. You'll just be able to barely see him. You'll especially be able to notice him since a majority of the mutant mobs will just still attack him despite him being invisible, so that is going to be a problem. You'll see these guys a lot, and this is most likely how a lot of the humanoid guys get absolutely assimilated, so it could cause problems very quickly. And there's one last mob I want to discuss with you. This is coined as the human. I'm just going to coin it as the mutant human for peace of mind and makes it 10 times easier to actually deal with when it comes with mentioning this mob. But basically speaking, this is kind of the boss-like mob of this mod at this point in time. I have no idea how it actually spawns or what's its specifications of how to find this mob, as there isn't any documentation on how this one actually comes occur. But stage 1 of it has a health pool of 65 hit points, deals 10 damage per second, has a movement speed of 0.25. If you leave it to be alive for 5 minutes, it will evolve into its second stage, which makes it even more freaky than before, and it has 75 hit points now with the 10 damage per second and the 0.25 movement speed. Ultimately, the movement speed isn't really affected by much, but you can pretty much agree with me that this is effectively a boss-like mob because of its massive health pool. If you leave it alive for another 5 minutes, you'll get the stage 3 variation, which is a bit of a freaky thing overall. It looks like a spider's just grown some legs out of the interior of the actual human itself. It's crazy. It has 85 hit points. Yeah, 85 health. It does 11 damage per second and has a movement speed of 0.3. So it's slightly faster, does a little bit more damage than its stage 2 variant or stage 1 variant as well, and just has a very big hit point pool. Overall though, as I said, I have no idea how this one actually comes into the world. I haven't really encountered one whilst playtesting this mod. It's more just I've had to spawn one in to actually play around with it. So I'm sure the creator will enlighten us in the comments down below when he comes across this video. Until then though, I have no idea how that works. Now it's time to move on to some fun things. The items, weapons, and armor of this mod. This mod adds in 5 new resources to be used for crafting various different weapons, tools, and armor to use against these mobs. The first 3 are various different putrid body parts which can be found as drops from the various different assimilated creatures. You've got the Necrocopter Fang, which is, well, from a Necrocopter when you kill it, and then of course you've got scrapped metal as well. Scrapped metal is crafted via some iron and some iron nuggets. Very cheap crafting recipe. All these items combined with a few netherite ingots can be used to craft various different weapons and armor pieces that are very powerful against these mobs. This mod comes with 2 different armor sets. The rusted metal set's the first one I'm going to look at here, which requires scrap metal, netherite ingots, and various different putrid / flesh pieces when creating the actual each individual piece itself. This does cost a lot more netherite ingots than your typical netherite armor set will, but this armor is far more powerful when it comes to being defensive against these mutant creatures. The second set is just the typical metal set, which all you need to do is get a handful of wax, put 4 around each armor piece, and you can wax off all that rust and get yourself some normal metal armor, which is significantly more powerful than the previous rusted set. Ultimately, having any of these armor pieces will ultimately help you defend against these mutant monsters far better than any other armor pieces in normal Minecraft ever will, as this armor is made to take actual damage from these creatures. This mod also has a collection of really cool weapons that come aside with it. I'm not going to go through all of them in detail as I've already burnt enough time with the mods, but all of them are very useful in their own ways. They are all far more powerful than your average netherite sword and axe, but are also far more resource intensive than those ones as well. You should see me throwing through all of them on screen right now with all the various different crafting recipes. Requiring random different items from throughout your Minecraft pathway, whether it just be some flesh, whether it be some netherite bricks for one of them, as well as some coal, and other various bits and pieces to create these really awesome weapons. There's also a fun new enchantment that you can get, though it's very rare to grab it via an enchantment table, but it's called Mutation Bane. It is kind of similar to Smite as well as Bane of Arthropods, as it does a lot of bonus damage towards mutated creatures. Of course, more damage than what your average sharpness at the same level would do to those mobs in general, but they're all specific, meaning that they only do that bonus damage towards the mutated form. One last major item that is currently in the mod is called Mutagen Serum. This can be crafted via using some simple materials, as well as it can be dropped by scientists if they do have some. This can be used to actually cure villagers and wandering traders from their assimilated variants. Unfortunately, at this point in time, it doesn't work with any other assimilated mods, but this might be something that changes in the future, might be not. This is going through a pretty quick development cycle and need a bunch of new bits and pieces. There are other items and stuff that I haven't talked in this video, but mainly because they aren't actually in use right now. They do have some of their own effects, but right now there's either no way of getting them or no way of actually making use of these features in normal survival Minecraft. This mod is actually compatible with things such as better combat as well as sound physics remasters, and as always, when it comes with mods that adds in a bunch of new items, you always should have just enough items attached to everything as well. So let me know in the comments down below, what are your thoughts on this mod? Make sure to leave a like, make sure to subscribe if you did enjoy, and click this video on screen now for some more awesome Minecraft mods. Bye bye!